BoxBox Hub is an absolute essential for any Formula One fan, and the entire app with new widgets, statistics, localized race schedules, and countdowns, you name it. They even have support for Apple's new live activities feature with real-time updates during a race right on the lock screen, and honestly, some of the best looking widgets I've seen.
Welcome along, everybody. We are back for more silver action. You are joined by myself in the commentary box, unfortunately for your ears, but hopefully the action on track will make up for that. And we've got an exciting one here, round 5 of Silver Season 7 here in Belgium, and it is looking a bit gloomy out on track as it stands at the moment then, but there we go. Then we'll run through the reserve races for tonight then. We've only got 2, thankfully. It's Fanjo in the AlphaTauri in place of TK, and Riyadh in the Williams in place of Irish New Potato, and that is that then. Nobody keen on getting out in here in qualifying so far, so we're going to have a nice little ramble on about all sorts of other stuff going on during this one, as Craig R was retired in the pit lane, so he is not too keen on getting out there on track, and he might have a quali ban. I'm not quite sure. If anybody in Discord or in Silver in the Discord, that is, can remind me from the race review, then that would be fantastic. But welcome along to the stream, everybody. We've got an exciting one here tonight then. Belgium, a very fantastic circuit indeed, then a historic circuit as well. As there we go then, Dylan is the lead car out on track then in the McLaren, and he's going to be taking us away then for the first outing around Spa-Francorchamps in this qualifying session. And good luck from everybody from Gordo, then evening all from Irvine as well. Irvine, a new member to the ALR channel, of course. We'll go into that in a bit more in a few seconds then, but he's got a nice little Hypersoft logo next to his name, which is great stuff indeed. Gordo said it's dark but dry, says Gordo then, for the race that is, as well, so it's going to be a dry race. Evening all from Rocket Lizo, good evening to yourself, sir, as well. And yeah, like I was saying, if for Irvine, you can now become a member of the ALR YouTube channel, then join us for extra streams, extra rewards and that sort of thing. And there's all sorts of perks and things like that as well included. You don't have to just worry about sending your money in just for nothing, but hopefully you can join us as well. And if you just want to just watch the streams, then that's fine as well. Then sit back and relax and enjoy. We've got some action here coming up for you in just a jiffy then, and looking forward to this one as well. Like I was saying, it's a very good racing circuit. This one, a very classic circuit, a classic circuit itself, indeed. Then because it's got lots of twists and turns there, but a very high speed circuit overall compared to Hungary last round. Then it's completely flipped on its head then in terms of the technicalities of the track. Then like Hungary, and now switching to a very much more power-hungry circuit than this one here in Spa-Francorchamps. Welcome along then to everybody to the stream. Welcome along to the drivers as well. Of course, they're going to be putting themselves to the pace, to the test, I should say, then around this circuit. Then Gordo in the comment section. Hopefully, he can get himself a good qualifying in as well. Then in the Mercedes. Then, but we've got the Aston Martin of Ginna then leading us around the first lap then of this historic circuit. Indeed, then in towards turn 1. And we did actually, I heard somebody actually got a warning then for corner cutting at turn 1 somehow in gold last night, so I'm not quite sure how that happened, but no such worries for Ginna. Then up the hill, then up Eau Rouge, then towards Radion, and of course, yellow flag. I thought that was for Ginna then. I didn't know what was going on there, but he's managed to negotiate it very nicely indeed down the Kemmel Straight. Now this is the fastest part of the circuit then, with DRS available then towards La Source. The chicane is the next couple of turns coming up, and this is a very technical chicane. This is probably the most difficult part of the circuit overall, trying to get himself through there unscathed, and also keeping the lap valid as well. Then down towards the long right-hander as well. Then once again, Ginna has got himself a very good setup. It looks like keeping that car planted as well. We go through the corner of no name then, making sure we don't go too wide then, because that can cause an invalidation as well then, and he's done so very nicely indeed. Then through Pouillon now into the long left-hander, the longest left-hander then on the circuit. Then he's done a very nice job then of getting through there in style as well then, and now into the last couple of corners then for sector 2. Then he's had a bit of a problem then on the entry to the first part of the chicane. Then Ultimate Beast was retired in the pit lane. He's got a qualifying ban, I believe, unfortunately for Ultimate Beast then, but let's see what he can do then in the Grand Prix. Purple, of course, in sector 2 for Ginna, and then as he flies through now towards the last couple of corners then. And here we go then for Ginna. Then let's see what the Aston Martin driver can do. Reflection also retiring the pit lane. Seems like a lot of qualifying bans going on in the in Silver, it seems. But yeah, I don't think Reflection has a qualifying ban. I think he's one of the drivers who keeps his nose clean. Does Reflection for sure. Up to the line then for Ginna then, and it's a 42.214 then to set us on our way here in Spa. Great stuff indeed then from the Aston Martin. But Dylan has done a 41.458. Then that is fantastic stuff indeed. Almost 0.8 of a second faster than the Aston Martin of Ginna. and then that's great stuff from the McLaren, currently on pole position and looking comfortable indeed as well. Then Sweet MGP then has jumped up to P3, a 42.3 from the other McLaren then, so both the McLarens currently in the top runnings, I should say, for the top steps. That is. Here comes Glockstone, of course. He's a familiar face to pole position, but he's not on pole position as it stands. Then a 41.9 then from the Ferrari driver, of course, who won last week as well. Then looking good indeed then on the front row as it stands. Mr. Elite up into P5. That he's been displaced by Mumford there into P5. Then for the AlphaTauri, then Mr. Elite down to P6 then with a 42.7 indeed. Here comes Dopey Lemons then into the bus stop chicane then. And let's see what the Williams driver can do then. Up to the line then for the Williams, and it's a 42. It's a 42.6 then in between Mumford and Mr. Elite. Then P6 for the Williams driver. Then R2B then has done a 42.9 as well. Then time's tumbling in now as well here as into P9 he goes. Then he's been displaced by Potstuff, who's done a 42.008. So 008 then. I think he's a different. He is in the books, isn't he? The films as well for James Bond, but 008 is not one that we're familiar with, unfortunately. But there we go then. We're more familiar with 007, aren't we? But there we go then. Fangio then coming across the line. Let's see what the reserve driver can do in place of TK. Up to the line. It's P9 as it stands there. 42.935. He's in between the two. I thought he was in between two Mercedes then, but Gordo hasn't set a time to set. He's on track now as Gordo. Riyadh is coming down the Kemmel Straight. And where is Irvine? Irvine unfortunately hasn't validated his time, so he's coming back to the pit lane, I'd imagine. Or might be able to start another lap here if he's got enough fuel on board. And I think he is going for another run, so we'll come back to Irvine as the current pole sitter of Dylan enters the pit lane, and he is quite comfortable at the moment in the pole position. He's by half a second there to Glocks in P2, so that is quite comfortable indeed then for Dylan, I would imagine. I'm sure he's quite happy with that qualifying time so far. Then we'll come back to the top runners, then we'll see what Riyadh and Gordo can do. Gordo is a bit further back then, isn't he? So we'll come back to him. We'll come back to Riyadh in the Williams, and of course stepping in for Irish New Potato. Unfortunately didn't want to turn up tonight, so I don't know why. But there we go then into Sector 2 we go then, towards the end of Sector 2 I should say, because we're now into Sector 3 and up to the next straight we go. Purple in Sector 2, that is looking good indeed for Riyadh. Then in the Williams car I should say, Spa-Francorchamps is favouring the Williams car, it looks like at this point in time. Then around the last couple of corners then, I completely forgot Blanchimont, that's one. Through Blanchimont then we go then in the Williams then. It literally just escaped my memory, but we've got it back now into the bus stop chicane then to finish off the lap. Then this is his first attempt here in qualifying. Let's see what he can do. Can he take pole position away? No, he can't, unfortunately, but he's P4 on the second row of the grid then for Riyadh. Good stuff indeed. A 42.186 is good enough for the second row as it stands. Then good stuff indeed. Then we'll come back to him. Where is Gordo? Gordo is going slowly then. Gordo's decided to abandon his first attempt, it looks like, and go again then as Fangio, I think, is just cruising round too. So Fangio then is just about to, he's coming back to the pit lane. There's Fangio, so he's done his bit. Then his first run, he's got 10 minutes left to get himself back out there, back out on track. Then here comes Vessia, then flying through towards the finish line, then up into P6 then for Vessia. Great stuff indeed. Then the Alfa Romeo 42.226 then from Vessia puts himself on the third row of the grid as it stands as well. Good stuff indeed. Irvine up to P9 there. Great stuff indeed from Irvine. Then not one to shy away from abandoning qualifying like the likes of Craig R and Reflection, but he has done himself a good justice then, putting himself into the top 10 then in the Red Bull car. Good stuff indeed. Unfortunately, Ultimate Beast has got a qualifying ban, so he's not been taking part in the qualifying for this event then, but hopefully he can bounce back in the Grand Prix itself. Then we will wait and see. Kamara Race is starting a lap then up the hill towards the Kemmel Straight as well. And the other Alfa Romeo will stay on board with Gordo, because I think he's pushing then, trying to get himself a lap on the a more competitive lap on the board. Let's go Silver, says Smithy then in the comments section as well. Then of course he is admitting Silver, so he wants to have a nice clean race. Then of course it was quite a good Grand Prix in Hungary then last week for Silver. Then in terms of the racing itself, the racing was fantastic. Lovely stuff to commentate on, because it was very clean indeed then, and it was great battling indeed throughout most of the grid as well. So yeah, go back and watch that one as well. Go back and watch Gold last night. Then it was absolutely fantastic indeed, much faster than I could possibly hold on to, but I managed to just pinch a point somehow. But there we go. Then here comes Gordo. Enough about that. We're watching Silver here tonight. Then Gordo is on a flying lap through Blanchimont. We go then at full beans in the Mercedes car. Then car number 3, I think that is. I can't quite read, but yeah, car number 3 then for Gordo. Then into the bus stop. She can go very deep on the entry. Then that might compromise his exit. Then up to the line. Let's see what the Mercedes driver can do. Then it's a 42. It's a 43. 43.6 then from Gordo. Unfortunately, not enough enough then to displace the Aston Martin of R2 then in P13 in the Aston Martin as it stands, that is. We'll come back to that then. Craigar is out of the qualifying. Kamara Racer though is definitely in the qualifying. Here he comes through the bus stop chicane then in the other Alfa Romeo. Then let's see where he can go up to the line. It is P7 right behind his teammate then by half a tenth of a second there as well. Fantastic stuff indeed from both the Alfa Romeos. They're looking strong here in the qualifying for the Spa-Francorchamps circuit as well. Great stuff from those two. Ginner is back out on circuit as well then, coming through into the end of sector 2 now. Evening all, says Mushroom as well. Good luck to everybody as well then. Losing 8 tenths in sector 1, might as well give up, says Gordo then. I'm not quite sure how you'll be losing 8 tenths in sector 1 because there's pretty much just one corner, isn't there? Which is turn 1 effectively then, because you're flat out through the through Eau Rouge and Radion, aren't you? And then down towards La Source hairpin. It's not a hairpin, it's a chicane. But there we go then. Yeah, hopefully Gordo can sort that out then in the next few minutes of qualifying, I should say. Then here comes Jinder then on his second attempt. Then can he get himself further up the order? Then it's a 41.9. Then he's up into P3. Great stuff indeed then from the Aston Martin driver, and that is quite safe and secure then from Jinder. Then he's improved massively in the last couple of rounds. And of course he did have a very difficult start to the season, did Jinder, but now up into the 41.9s and puts himself on the second row of the grid, and currently looking strong indeed. Kamara Racer has retired, and Kamara Racer's retired on the circuit as well. Then there's been a problem then for Kamara Racer as we go through. Where is that? That's towards the end of sector 2 then as well. He was on an in lap, I believe, which is quite odd indeed. But he has got himself up into he's got into a bit of mischief there, and we can't quite see because the car's been cleared away very quickly by the Belgian marshals already. So that is good stuff indeed then. But Mr. Elite then flying through now, purple in sector 2. I missed Nigel, I should say. Nigel up into P2 then by the 41.880. Then up onto the front row of the grid. He's giving his teammates a bit of a tow then down towards the La Source chicane as well. Then Farf then getting a nice little dosage of DRS and of course the slipstream from his teammate as well. Then down towards the chicane, and he's got a great exit then as well there. Good stuff indeed. Then we'll come back to Farf's lap time. I think we've got more to cross the line. Here comes Mr. Elite. It's up to P11 for Mr. Elite. Then good stuff indeed. He's improved by a tenth and a bit or so, and up into just outside the top 10 as it stands then as well. Then McLaren of Sweet MJP then I was trying to find him then, but he's up into P2 then. That's all McLaren front row as it stands, and Sweet MJP massively improved then up into the 41.6s as well. Then great stuff indeed then from the other McLaren, and both of them are looking pretty strong here in qualifying as well. Then Ginner back down to P5 unfortunately, as Potstuff has pushed him down further to P6. Then Potstuff with a 41.7 has got himself into P3 onto the second row of the grid as it stands as well. Then great stuff indeed. And the time's tumbling in now as well, as we can see. Here comes Farf then through Blanchemont as well. That other Haas of course with the tow then through the Camel Straight then from Nigel as well, is looking to get himself a first time on the board. Then into the bus stop chicane we go then for the first time then for Farf, and up to the line. What's it going to be then from Farf? Then it is it's not as good as I thought it was going to be unfortunately. I think he must have had a bit of a problem on his previous lap, or further on in the lap then. A 42.3 then puts himself P11. Currently the championship leader is Farf then. I'm not sure how that's happened. We don't want to say too many nice things about Farf, but he is somehow the championship leader then. We've had Mumford jump out the order then. No, we haven't. We had somebody else jump out the order, I think. It wasn't an AlphaTauri. It must have been a Williams then. I think Dopey Lemons there potentially jumping up the order. Yes, he has improved by 4 tenths of a second as well there for Dopey Lemons. Into the top 10 now for the Williams driver. Great stuff indeed. And that is looking good indeed as well. We've got a McLaren coming through. I think that's McLaren of Sweet MGP coming back to the pit lane. And just getting out of the way then with Mr. Elite then as well. Good stuff right then. We've got Mumford coming through. And Mumford, I think, is on a lap. Yes, he is. He's looks like he's flying through, although the ERS might have maybe he's coming back to the pit lane then. Never mind, I'm confused, and that is not the first time, it's not the only time, and it won't be the last time either. So there we go then. Let Farf cook, says German. Yeah, all right. No, all good. I don't think we want anywhere near the cooking station. And pancakes, says Serious Mushroom. I'll have a pancake if you're offering. It should be waffles actually for Belgium, but yeah, we'll take whatever's being cooked in the kitchen. Then that's fine. There we go. Then Dopey Lemon's coming back to the pit lane as well. Then Fandro back out on circuit, and unfortunately invalidating it into the sector 3 entry point as well. Then that is bad news indeed. I did say that is one of the areas where you can go wide and lose a lot of time then, and or not lose a lot of time, invalidate your time, I should say, especially through there, and also at the exit of the Lassor chicane as well. It is quite treacherous out there as well, trying to keep the car under control as well. There's a lot of people who do lose the car through there, so one to watch out for, a corner to watch out for around this circuit for sure. But there we go then. Farf is taking a scenic route there, trying to get himself back to the pit lane then. I'm not quite sure if he's saved himself much time there or not, really. But there we go then. 3 minutes left of the session. Then we've got one more run in the tanks, I think, then for the rest of the grid. Then Riyadh is back out on track. Then we'll come back to that. We'll stay on Riyadh, I should say, because everybody else is on an out lap or still in the pit lane as it stands at the moment. So Riyadh, this is his last attempt, I think, here in qualifying, because he won't have enough fuel and he won't have enough ERS to play with to go round twice, I don't think, especially around this long circuit. It's the longest circuit in terms of length that is on the calendar, as Mumford has retired in the pit lane. I think Mumford there is done and dusted in qualifying, then currently P8, then could be demoted down by the rest of the drivers, then who are still yet to get themselves another time on the board. As into sector 3 we go. Purple again for the Williams driver, then looking to improve that on a 42.1 then for Riyadh, and looking strong indeed. And now through into Broads Blanchimont as well, the final couple of corners then of the circuit, then to finish off the lap, then the final lap then for Riyadh in the Williams here in qualifying tonight then. And let's see what he can do through the bus stop chicane. Yellow flags then in sector 2, but it's just been cleared away. I think just a car just going round nice and slow on their out lap. Then here comes Riyadh, then up to the line. It's a 41.5. Then it's not enough for P1, but it's P2 as it stands there on the grid, that is. And he is currently on the front row as well. Great stuff indeed there from Riyadh. Then really improved then on his previous time of 41.9 up into the 41.5s then for Riyadh, then into P2, and taking that spot away from SWMDP as it stands. Of course, there's still out laps. There's still time for other drivers to improve, so we'll come back to that. We'll have to wait and see. Glocks then is the next to get himself onto a lap. No, it's not. It's Jinnah, as Jinnah is flying through in sector 2. There's a lot of traffic ahead of Jinnah as well. He needs to be careful of that, and they need to be careful of him flying around this circuit as well, through the corner of No Name then for the Aston Martin, then in towards Puyon as well. There's a Red Bull, I think, in front of him there. Needs to get himself out of the way. As Mercedes and Alfa Romeo further up the track as well. Hopefully they are aware that this Aston Martin is on a flying lap then. And we go through in towards the end of sector 2, then into sector 3 we go. Now there's a Red Bull then out of the way, thankfully. Good stuff indeed. And now into sector 3 we go for Jinnah. Then he's got himself just inside the track limits there as well. That's right side of the car, just inside the white line. And now through towards Blanchimont we go. Then there's a lot of cars there queuing up. Then I think they're going to be very wary then of this Aston Martin flying around this circuit as well. Watch out, they're going to be close indeed as we go into the bus stop chicane. And here we go then. Jinnah there, you can see the Mercedes right in front of him. The Mercedes might give him a little bit of a tow then down towards the start finish straight there. Here comes Jinnah then up to the line, and it's P5 for Jinnah then. 41.738 then for the Aston Martin. Good stuff indeed. We'll have to try and find out who's going to be next across the line. Then Nigel just starting off a lap there as well. I think it's going to be Glocks as well. Glocks was earlier on in his out lap previously, so he will be the next driver to cross the line then on his final flying lap attempt here in qualifying for the Belgium Grand Prix, which will be coming up in just over about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes maybe. 2 minutes. Oh dear, Glocks has not retired, sorry, he's invalidated his time then coming through into sector 3, and that is Glocks done in qualifying here. Unfortunately for the Ferrari driver, it's going to be P7 at best as Riyadh enters the pit lane. Then we have got Dylan there coming through. Dylan there into the final sector as well. Then he's on a flying lap too. Can he improve on a 41.4, sorry, I should say. Can he get himself even further in front as well? Trying to cement that whole position then before anybody else can get time on the board then into the bus stop chicane for the final time then in the qualifying up to the line. It's a 41.4 again then from Dylan. Then stays pole position as it stands as well then. Good stuff indeed. We've got an Aston Martin of where is that? It's an Aston Martin of R2 beat then into the bus stop chicane, then going very deep into the entry as well. Then once again on the exit could be compromised, but up to the line for the Aston Martin driver. It's an improvement of 7.5 tenths of a second, and that is up to P8 then for R2B. Great stuff indeed then from the Aston Martin driver. Mr. Elite, no, it's Gordo coming back then. Gordo's decided to call it a day then in qualifying. We've got SWMDP coming up to the line then. Can he improve? Can he get himself on pole position? He can't. Just by what is that, 5 thousandths of a second? Potstaff improves to P3, but SWMDP is currently on the second, or in second place on the front row of the grid there by 5 thousandths of a second to his teammate. And I think Unless we've got no, Nigel has unfortunately invalidated his time. Favre coming through the bus stop chicane. Can Favre seal it away then from the McLarens then up to the line? It's P11 for Favre then. He's not had a great qualifying, unfortunately, for Favre. The championship leader then struggling in qualifying here. But Dylan is your pole sitter then for the Belgian Grand Prix. And wow, that is pretty close indeed between the two McLarens then. 5,000ths of a second then separates the two McLarens on the front row of the grid then. They are looking formidable here as well. Fangio, I didn't see, jumped up to P3 there. Great stuff indeed, a great improvement as well after a difficult start to the qualifying. He got himself back up into the second row of the grid then. But the McLarens is the story of the qualifying here. P1 and P2, 5,000ths of a second separate the two of them, and that is pretty good stuff indeed. Wow, that was very good qualifying indeed there. Favre could burn water, said Sirius Washington. Great stuff as well. And there we go then. That is your qualifying done and dusted then here in Belgium. That is a fantastic qualifying indeed, and one worthy of pole position then from Dylan then in the McLaren. Then great stuff from him. We'll have a run through quickly of the classification then before we get a word from our lovely sponsors then. Both of the McLarens then on the front row then. Dylan in P1, Sweet Up to Pete in P2, Fangio in P3. Great stuff from Fangio then. It really improved then on that on his first opening runs then. Potstaff P4, Riyadh in P5, then Jenner in P6, Irvine in P7, Nigel down in P8. Then unfortunately for Nigel, not the best qualifying from him either. Vessier in P9, then Glocks down in P10 after invalidating his final run. Favre in P11, then R2 Beat in P12, Mumford P13, Dopey Lemons in P14, Kamara Racer, in P15, Mr. Elite P16, Gordo in P17. Unfortunately, Craig R, Ultimate Eastern Reflection, did not get a time, and I think Ultimate Beast had a qualifying ban, which is why he couldn't take part in the qualifying. That is.
BoxBox Hub is an absolute essential for any Formula One fan, and the entire app with new widgets, statistics, localized race schedules, and countdowns, you name it. They even have support for Apple's new live activities feature with real-time updates during a race right on the lock screen, and honestly, some of the best looking widgets I've seen.
Right then, thank you very much for joining us for the Belgian Grand Prix Round 5 of Silver Season 7. We are almost ready to get going here. But if you haven't just yet, then check out BoxBox, of course. They are the sponsor for ALR. And they have all the information you need then for the new F1 season, which is starting very soon now. Testing, I believe, is within 2 weeks now, isn't it? I think it's the 23rd of February it starts then. So get on the BoxBox app then, get your widgets, get everything on your home screens, all the widgets and stuff that you can get on your lock screens and whatnot. It is good stuff indeed then. So definitely check that out then. And then also, if you've got a few pennies left over, then feel free to jump into the ALR shop then and buy yourself a nice hoodie. I know Sirius Mushroom was considering it. So yeah, good stuff indeed then. Looking forward to the race now as well then. And if you are new to the channel, then you can also join the ALR members on YouTube then. Become part of the squad then. And of course, you can get some nice rewards then for that donation as well to the channel. And great stuff indeed then. Good. We are ready to get going here in Belgium. We have got a combination of mediums and hards. I think the majority going for the hard compound tyres here. It looks like then we've got a set of soft compound tyres on Craig R's Ferrari, though down in P18. It's going for a very fast start in the Ferrari indeed. And then medium runners then for Mumford, Dopey Lemons, Camaro, Mr. Elite and Gordo. Same for Glocks in P10 there, and Riyadh on the mediums in P5. The highest runner on the medium compound tyres. Everybody else around him in the top 9 are on the hard compound tyres. So that is going to be very interesting to see how it's going to play out then, which strategy is going to be the best for the drivers and which strategy is going to come out on top as well. We'll find out. Yeah, looking forward to this one. It's going to be an enticing, an entertaining race, I should say, if I can get my words out. There's too many E's in that word. But there we go then. So good stuff indeed. Dylan, of course, is going to be taking us away from pole position on the hard compound tyres. So expecting Riyadh to get a good start here on those of course, faster, but grippier than medium compound tyres. Then they will wear out quicker than the hard compound, but they will be very quick indeed, or quicker indeed, off the starting grid, I would imagine. So we'll have to wait and see. Save for Craig Arl on those soft compound tyres. He's got a bit of work to do, but if he can get himself through, then he can get some good rewards, I would imagine, then on those soft compound tyres as well. Let's find out. We will switch over to the position changes as the drivers get themselves through the bus stop chicane, then to line themselves up on the grid then for 22 laps around Spa-Francorchamps. We're going to get ready for round 5 of Silver Season 7, and we can get ourselves cracking then for an exciting race indeed. Then through the bus stop chicanes goes the pole sitter, then just trying to get himself lined up on the grid, and we can get ourselves cracking then for this Grand Prix. We're just going to get ourselves all sorted, then hopefully we can get a nice camera angle as well then of the start, but it doesn't look like I'm going to get one, does it? I'm not sure where Fanto's going. There he's sorting himself out then. Good stuff indeed, and we can get ourselves lined up on the grid then. We can't get a good camera angle, unfortunately. This is an absolutely appalling camera angle here. Oh, that's better. Yeah, we'll go with that one then. Right then, 5 red lights coming on here in Belgium. The 5 red lights are on, and the 5 red lights are off, and away we go for the Belgian Grand Prix in Silver Season 7. And let's see who goes down into turn 1. Then we'll come back to that. And the McLaren going down into the first turn. Then there's an AlphaTauri going down the inside of Sweet 100P. Then looks like Fandro trying to battle away there for that P2 position. But Dylan out in front, checking out in the distance. Then everyone's got themselves through cleanly, I think, as we go up the hill then towards Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time here in Belgium as well. 22 laps, of course, unfolding in front of our very eyes here. Glocks is up 3 positions already. Blimey, he's already on the charge. Then his Glocks. Then Riyadh has got himself past Potsdam. Sweet 100P into the last source chicane. He's dropped down behind the AlphaTauri of Fandro. Then splitting the two McLarens. Now is Fandro. Then there's yellow flags in the background. Mumford's had a problem. I think Mumford's had a spin. Then has he? No, he's got himself back underway. He didn't, okay. Craig Ar's had a spin, unfortunately, for Craig Ar. Then he's got himself back underway. It was Craig Ar that was causing the yellow flags. I think that he's not got any damage on that front wing, thankfully, it looks like anyway. So hopefully he can carry on then in this race as we get himself back underway then in the Ferrari. Unfortunately, we didn't see what happened then for Craig Ar, but he's had a spin, which has cost him, unfortunately, 10 seconds to the back of the pack then, unfortunately, for the Ferrari. Then on the soft compound tyres as well. Hopefully he can use the soft compound tyres to get himself back into the Grand Prix with the pace on those tyres as well. The red-walled soft compound. Then into Sector 3 we go then for the first time here, and it looks like they've got, well, apart from Craig Ar, they've all got themselves through very unscathed then, but it seems to be so close. Look at this, the Ferrari of Glocks is pushing Riyadh through the track, then through towards Blanchimont. Then they're all over the back of the Alpine of Potsdam as well, then in towards the bus stop chicane. Riyadh going to go for a move around the outside. Is he on the Alpine? And late on the brakes as well. Then the Alpine go down the inside then, but he can't hold on to place. Then Riyadh up into P4 and gets himself past the Alpine now into the second row of the grid theoretically, but of course that is not the case. Then into the pits comes Gorder then and Mumford. Mumford's had an issue as well then, it seems, as we go. I think they had a problem then into the last source chicane. Then Botstuff and Glocks now battling away then as Glocks on the medium compound tyres trying to make use of those mediums before they start to drop off earlier than the hards. The Potstuff is on as well. So into Radion we go once again. Then he's gaining. He's using the ERS then to try and get himself past. Oh, there's a gap there, but he's closing and he's got himself through. Then I think up into P5, then past the Alpine. And there we go then into the chicane, into P5. Blimey, action all over the place then in the opening stages of this Grand Prix. Nigel's got himself past Jenner, has he? They're fighting tooth and nail then through the chicane, and it's going to be side by side. There's a yellow flag. Vessia's had a problem then. Vessia's off the circuit. Then there's a safety car on lap 2. Oh, blimey. Craig Ar then is back in the race now, to be fair. We didn't see where Vessia's car was, did we? Not sure what happened to Vessia. Then Vessia out of the Grand Prix then at the end, well, in the beginning of lap 2, I should say. Good news for Craig Ar then, and for Gordo and Munford, who of course now can bunch up to the back of the pack. And they have gone for, they potentially have gone for a change of strategy as well. Then Gordo's gone on the hard compound tyres, Munford onto the medium compound tyres. So they have, of course, done their compulsory stop, and not quite sure if the tyres that they've both gone onto will make it to the end of the Grand Prix from from here. It's going to be a very tough stint if they're going to do that, but they might have to at least use this to bring themselves back into the pack then, with that safety car now out on lap 2, then waiting for the leaders then as we go through sector 3. But yeah, good news for Craig R, Gordo and Mumford there after their unscheduled stops. Well, not for Craig R, sorry, not yet anyway, so he's stayed out for the time being. Of course, he just had a spin then at the Lasso chicane, but that safety car now bringing him back into play. Mumford and Gordo, of course, have made their stops as well then, so they will... oh dear, what's going on here for Dylan? He's going a bit slowly yet. Riyadh into the pit lane. Riyadh calling it a day on the medium compound tyres. Then after 1.5 laps, is there any other pit stop action? Dopey Lemons, his teammate, is coming to the pits as well. Then this is going to be a double stack then for the Williams team. Ultimate Beast comes into the pit lane. He's going from the hards to something else. Then that's an interesting strategy then, because most of the hard runners have stayed out so far. Onto the hards for Riyadh, and here comes Dopey Lemons. Not too much of a problem then for the double stack then. He's onto another set of medium compound tyres, though I'm not quite sure what the strategy is then for the the second Williams car on track, that is. Onto the mediums then for Craig R. Good stuff indeed then. He's coming down the pit lane now. I think Mumford might get himself back ahead, then Gordo's back in the pit lane again. Not quite sure what Gordo is up to here, because he was on a fresh set of hard compound tyres, but he's gone back to a set of medium compound tyres now for Gordo, so interesting strategy indeed. But he will be, of course, at the back of the order. Unfortunately, 19 drivers left in this Grand Prix on lap 2, or lap 3 now, as of course Vessia then has crashed out. I think it was at the Lasso chicane at the top of the hill. Then once again we'll see on board where Mumford is coming through into this this complex of corners. Then was where Vessia then had an incident. I'm not quite sure what who or what was involved, but unfortunately he has it cost him his place in the Grand Prix. Then the safety car has been released from the pit lane, or Bert Myland has been released from the pit lane, and we are now waiting for the Mercedes and the Ferrari just to catch up to the back of the pack then, before we get ourselves restarted in this Grand Prix then for the next phase of the race. Right, then here we go then. I think Vessia says he has a tank slapper then. Gordo has a plan, says Serious Mushroom, then that's all good then indeed. So that is why that is what happened to, I think it's, well, like we were saying before in the qualifying, that chicane is, it's not got the best grip, has it? And it's very difficult to try and negotiate, especially at high speed, and trying to maximise your speed through those couple of corners then is very difficult indeed. So that is where unfortunately Vessia had the issue then, and again through here as well, this part of the circuit as well is quite difficult indeed as well then. So yeah, it is unfortunately well, it's part of racing, isn't it? And it seems to be a part of the Belgian Grand Prix as well, as the racing around here, like I said, is very fast paced indeed, and any mistake at fast pace is costly. And unfortunately for Vessia then, that is him out of the Grand Prix, but hopefully he can bounce back in a week's time then in Zandvoort. So we're in Zandvoort next week. We're not too far away. We're about 300 kilometres away then from Zandvoort, right here in Belgium. So yeah, we're not too far away. Then we'll just have a nice casual drive up the European, whatever it is, and then we'll go there. As Gordo's got a 5-second penalty for not speeding in the pit lane. He's got a 5-second penalty for collision with Craig R. And that was under safety car as well, so they're not going to be too happy with him on that one. I think he can serve it now. I don't know if that was part of Gordo's plan, Serious Mushroom, but he's got a wing change now and a 5-second penalty to serve then as well. Then after that collision with Craig R at the back of the field, unfortunately for the Mercedes driver, but he'll still be able to get himself back into the race, even with that serving that penalty and that wing change as well, because he'll be able to get himself bunched up to the back of the safety car queue, I would imagine, as he trundles down the pit lane now as well. We're trundling down the Kemmel Straight then for the race leaders, of course stuck behind that Aston Martin safety car, and hopefully we'll be resuming the Grand Prix then at the end of lap 4, this lap here, and we can get ourselves back underway then for some racing. But in the meantime, we'll just have to wait and see. Plan ruined, says Serious Mushroom. I think to be fair to Gordo, the plan might come back to him because he can get himself back into the train then in this safety car period then, and get himself back onto the plan as well then. Right, good stuff indeed. Then we'll have to wait and see when the safety car does come in, but I think it will be at the end of this lap. Then we're just waiting for Gordo to catch up to the back of the pack, but I think it will get tired of waiting, unfortunately, at some point and just come back in. So it might be at the end of this lap anyway. Then we did see the safety car out for one lap in gold last night, and it sort of caught the leaders. Then everyone caught up to the back of the pack then on that lap, and then it came straight in, and I would have thought that it would stay out for 2 laps as it usually does on the game, but no, it didn't do that round here. So it maybe just decides, because it's a long lap, to get on with it and get back in the pit lane then for Burnt Mylander. He doesn't want to do too many laps around here, and he wants to get himself nice and toasty back in the pit lane and enjoy his Belgian waffles then before the end of the Grand Prix. But there we go then, into sector 3 we go. I think we're going to get a notification here. Hopefully the safety car is in this lap then, so now Dylan becomes the de facto safety car leader and has to back the pack up really and wait for that safety car to get himself back in the pit lane so that he can restart the Grand Prix in a safe manner. Like what I said, it's all part of the plan then. Good stuff indeed then. We are back underway then at the end of this lap then. We'll be back to green flag racing, and the safety car just get himself through into the bus stop chicane then to get back into the pit lane. Dylan, of course, will be deciding when to drop the hammer then in this Grand Prix to restart the race then on to lap 5, that is. And we can get ourselves racing very soon, I think, because the safety car now into the pit lane and out of the way, which is great stuff indeed then. So Dylan decides when to drop the hammer. Will he go early or will he go late is the question. And on the hard compound tyres as well, then here he goes, then he's off, then he's decided to go, he dropped the hammer then, and away we go then for the restart of this Grand Prix into the bus stop chicane then. And Fanjo then was right on him, then he knew that Dylan was going to be going early, then it looked like, as he was all over the back of the McLaren then before the bus stop chicane as well then. Great restart indeed then. Sweet has been caught out slightly, but he's still within range then of the top 2, and Glocks on the medium compound tyres yet to pit. Of course it's Glocks then, and the safety car might help him here because he can now try and battle away then, as we've had some battles then. Dopey Lemons there and Multimate Beast are battling away then, and Riyadh was involved in that as well then. I think Dopey Lemons has lost out 2 places then to his teammate and then to the Red Bull as well then. Up the hill we go then through Eau Rouge and Radion, as we've got to change up the order then. It's Glocks and Swear into P, then Glocks up into P4 then on the medium compound tyres. Here comes Nigel on pot stuff as well up into P5. Can he hold the position into the chicane? He can this time. Farther's got himself past Ginner, has he? They're going to go side by side through the La Source chicane, and it's close indeed, and Farther's edged ahead. I think he's got himself up into P7 there ahead of the Aston Martin, and we've got Irvine who's on the back of them both as well then. They're going to be he's going to be very excited indeed to see the battling ahead of him. Can he get himself through then? If there's any mistakes then for the 2 ahead, can he get himself through on the pace as well then? R2 beat up into the top 10 now as Ultimate Beast has picked up a 3-second penalty then, as his track extended at corner of no name there. That's his 3rd warning then. That is 3 seconds that we added into his race time. We do expect the penalties to add up around here, as there's lots of opportunities to track extend, and it's not going to be the first, it's not going to be the last, it's not going to be anything really. It's going to be something that's going to be added onto his race time, but we do expect other drivers to pick up penalties as well then. We will see as well as we go through into sector 3 now. Of course on the medium compound tyres I'll switch to the tyre compounds, because of course Ultimate Beast has pitted then to fresh medium compound tyres under that safety car, and he's going to try and get himself past Riyadh then and past Reflection yet to pit. Of course he stayed out on the hard compound tyres, but around the outside goes Riyadh then up into P13, and here comes Ultimate Beast. He's going to go down the inside then into the bus stop chicane. Can he get it slowed down in time? Then he's just very close to going in the back of the Williams then of Riyadh then, as we go through the bus stop chicane. There's a car off in the background as Mr. Elite has had a problem then at the exit of the bus stop chicane. I'm not sure if there's a helping hand then for Mr. Elite, but he's spun the car around. He's got himself back underway. There's no damage then, it doesn't look like, to the front wing as well. Good stuff indeed. Dopey Lemons and Mumford away, battling away, then Riyadh and Ultimate Beast are battling away as well. Then Beast, of course, on those medium compound tyres is pushing hard to try and get himself up in the order then as quickly as possible. With penalty for Mumford, it's the 2nd penalty of the evening then. Riyadh's got a 3-second penalty as well then. Potstub's got himself back past Nigel then into P5 down the back of the order. Here comes Beast as well, battling away then. He's battling away with this Williams car. He's going to go side by side through the chicane. Oh my goodness me, he's turning way too early then as Beast, and contact between the 2, but thankfully they've managed to get themselves corrected quickly enough then to carry on in this Grand Prix. And blimey, that was a pretty good car control for both the cars to be fair, as we go diving down the inside for Dopey Lemons then on Reflection, and he's got the move then up into P14, and down behind them he's got Craig R and Mumford battling away too as well. We go through the corner of no name, Gordo all over the back of them as well. And here comes Craig R. Is he going to go for a move down the inside of Puyon? No, not quite. He thinks better of it then. Mumford's got a wide then. He's going to have a warning for that one. Track extending. And there we go then. Craig R now getting himself past Mumford, and Mumford dropping down the order. Then Mumford's had a problem, I think, there. Has he got damage there? There's no problem on the left end plate there, but I think he might have an issue on the right end plate. No, he seems to be okay, but he's decided to back off then for whatever reason, unfortunately for Mumford then. But there we go. Blimey, it's calming down a bit now, but it's not calming down too much at the front then. I completely missed it, but Fanjo has taken the lead of the Grand Prix, and I'm very sorry, Fanjo, for missing that one. But Dylan now into P2 and trying to chase down his compatriot. Of course, there's 3 Irishmen in the top 3 there as it stands there. Dylan's gone around the outside of Fanjo. Then Fanjo seems to be having some issues then, and I'm not quite sure what is going on there for Fanjo. Blimey, goodness me. He seems to be out. I don't know what's going on for Fanjo. Then we'll come back to that then, because it seems like he's having a bit of connection issues then. Out in front then, Glocks now is on the charge then for that P1 position, then trying to get himself back past Dylan as Fanjo. I think Fanjo's just had a disconnect issue then. I'm not quite sure what's happened then to Fanjo. Then hopefully he can get himself sorted. But nonetheless, then here comes Glocks then for the race lead, then down the outside, then into the chicane once again then, and he's got the move then for the lead of the Grand Prix. The Ferrari driver, of course, who won in Hungary, is now got himself on the top step then as it stands there here in Belgium as well. Then great stuff indeed. Dylan now down to P2, then 300p his teammate then right in the wings then in P3, then same for Potstuff as well. Farf and Nigel then with a great start then to this Grand Prix. I need to try and hold on them. R2 Beats had a problem then as we go down the order. Then what's happened to R2 Beat then? It's a safety car again then for R2 Beat. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. No, it's a safety car for Kamara Racer, who's off the circuit as well, at corner of no name. And blimey, these cars are flying off the circuit. They're everywhere now. R2B, I think it's the safety car actually for Kamara Racer, because he's lost a bit of front wing there as well. Fanjo is no, he doesn't seem to be okay. I'm not sure what is going on with Fanjo then, but there we go then. Yeah, Jesus says I'm not quite sure. I have to skip off Fanjo because I can't really tell what's going on there on the screen. Yeah, German said Jesus Beast, then I think he's referring to that move with Riyadh and Beast then into the chicane there, top of the hill. And yeah, I think it was a bit, well, luckily they both corrected the cars pretty well, to be fair. They were expertly done, but a bit of a risky move, they'd put it that way. I'm not quite sure where Fanjo is, to be fair, on the grid then. He seems to be in P8 for me at the moment, but I'm not sure if that's correct or not. No, he seems to be all over the place there for me. It looks like he's carrying on as well. Then into the pits comes on for the beat. Here from the pits comes Irvine, I should say. Ultimately, he's carried on as well. But there we go then. Right, the safety car now waiting for Sweet MJP. Then Dylan is in the pit lane. He has called it a day then on the hard compound tyres as well. Then Fanjo has retired in the pit lane. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, well, I think that's probably just safest for everybody else, to be fair, because I'm not quite sure where he was on the circuit. Into the pits comes everybody apart from the top four now. So that is an interesting strategy call then from everybody else as well. Then let's see what they're going to go on to as well. Then yeah, so Fanjo then tumbling down the order then after having to retire in the pit lane. I think his connection just wasn't working there, put it that way, and he is out of the race. And so yeah, unfortunately that's our second DNF then, but I think it was for perfectly legitimate reasons there. There's a lot of technical difficulties going on there for sure, that I couldn't tell what was going on with Fanjo. Then he seemed to be teleporting all over the circuit, so thankfully I think he's just done the wise thing and got out of the way then of the rest of the grid, then making sure there wasn't going to be any incidents involved in that one, which is fair play to him. Kaz has said hello then. Hello to Kaz. Hard, soft or medium, says Gordo. Got to be hard, says German from here. I think he's going to be going very hard there in German in the comment section. But we've currently got only Glocks, Mumford, Gordo, Kamara Racer and Mr. Elite on a new set of hard compound tyres. So they could go to the end from here, I imagine. Safety car will be out for another lap or two. Potentially, so they could go to the end from here, which could be interesting stuff indeed. Might see a bit of a rejig of the order then, especially if the medium runners have to pit again. Then I think Beast and Dopey Lemons for sure will have to pit again. They've done 5 laps already on those medium compound tyres. Everybody else is on a fresh set. Craig has gone back to the soft compound tyres then in P11 then, so he's going to be looking to get himself into the top 10 very quickly indeed then on this restart. Sweet MGP is crazy for not pitting as well. I think the same for Jinner then, in terms of what German is saying in the comment section as well. Sweet MGP and Jinner, sorry, not pitting then in this race. German, of course, did get a podium last night, so go and watch that back if you're a German fan. He got a podium then in the house. Great stuff indeed. But I think he went on the hard compound tyres at one point. I can't remember, I was too far back behind him, so I couldn't see what he was doing. But Sweet MGP and Jinner then staying out then on 7 lap or 8 lap old hard compound tyres now. Ultimate Beast and Dopey Lemons then will be on 6 lap old mediums, and everybody else is on fresh tyres apart from Mumford and Gordo, I suppose you could say, but they did pit only 1 lap earlier than the safety car came out, so it's not too much of an issue for those two either. So right, we will wait and see, because the safety car is still going to go round for 1 more lap, I believe. We'll wait and see if anybody else comes into the pit lane actually, because they might try and do a sneaky switch of strategy then, but nobody has decided to do that, so they've carried on here in Belgium. We're going to have 1 more lap behind the safety car, unfortunately. Gordo said 4 stops in 8 laps then is a good start. Then he's like I said, like Serious Bashman is saying, he's sticking to the plan. He's got a very good plan indeed then if he's going to make a 4-stop or even more a 5-stop work as well. But what am I to judge? I cannot judge on this. It's going to be judged at the end of the Grand Prix, of course, who is finishing in the top 10 and who is going to finish with the fastest lap as well, because of course that is still available then to everybody who is still in the Grand Prix, regardless of what position, so long as they have completed the full 22 laps, that is. Right then. So there we go then. We have a few, let's have a look at the position changes as it stands then. P up 1, of course, started P2 on the grid with his teammate Dylan, who is down 5 then, of course, but he has pit then for a fresh set of tyres then as Dylan under this second safety car. Ginner is up 4 places then after starting in P6 then on the, he's now on the hard combine tyres. He hasn't pitted just yet, unfortunately, for him there. Same for Beast in P6, well, up 16 places, I should say, then from the back of the grid. Then Dopey Lemon's up 10 places as well, but those two yet to pit as well. They're on medium compound tyres as well. Glocks is technically the de facto race leader as it stands then. He is on a fresh set of hard compound tyres, and he has made his pit stop then from the mediums to the hards. Dylan has, of course, has started on the hard compound tyres, is now on the mediums as well. Then same for Pot Stuff, same for Farf, same for Irvine, and same for Nigel as well. That is the top 10. Craig R has got himself back in this Grand Prix then after a spin on the opening lap then, down to P20 then. He's got himself back in with the first safety car and now onto a set of soft compound tyres again. He's down in P11 there, but could get himself into the points very quickly indeed. Mumford up 1 place then in P12 then. R2 beat down 1 place, but of course has pitted as well to a fresh set of medium compound tyres under this safety car as well. Then same for Gordo, after a difficult start then up into P14, up 3 places then onto a set of hards. Could go to the end of the Grand Prix from here. Riyadh down 10 places after that mishap then with Beast, and I think he had another incident then as well. Maybe with Kamara Racer, who's had the caused this safety car as well. That issue then into corner of no name for Kamara Racer has cost him as well. Reflection up 3 places then into the back of the queue. Then the same for Miss Trilly as well. Then as we get ourselves ready to restart here in the Belgian Grand Prix then for the second time. We're almost at the halfway distance. Then we're going to be starting on lap 10. And the safety car is just getting himself back into the pit lane for the second time as well. Then hopefully we can get ourselves restarted here very soon indeed. Rightio then. Here we go then. Swear Pete has gone early as well, and just like his teammate then of Dylan then on the first restart then. Oh, as we go deep into the chicane, and I thought Ginner was going to go into the back of the McLaren there. It was very close indeed then between Ginner and the McLaren of Swear Pete then, but they thankfully didn't make any contact then, and that was very late on the brakes then from the Aston Martin, and I think he's not got those tyres warmed up just yet to warrant the late dive bombs. But there we go then. Dylan is going to go down the inside then of his rival of Glocks then up into P5 then, getting himself past and into the net race lead of the Grand Prix then for Dylan in the McLaren. Then here is on board with the Ferrari of the Glocks then. He's on the hard compound tyres. They might be taking a bit more time to warm up than we saw the hards go to the end of the Grand Prix in gold last night as well, but the medium's did a very good job as well indeed. Here comes Ginner then battling with Swear P side by side into the chicane, and Swear P backs out then into P1 goes Ginner then in the Aston Martin. Then can he hold on there? Those hard compound tyres are going to be dropping off very quickly indeed, especially compared to those who have just pitted for fresh tyres as well. Here comes Dylan then into the right hander then. Can he get himself down the inside then of the Williams of Dopey Lemons? And he can. He's sliding himself through these, of course, with teammates last season in the Alfa Romeo. But no love lost here tonight. Then Dylan up into P4 and now putting the pressure on Beast as well as we go into Puyon. Down the inside he goes. Then can he hold it as well? Then Dylan there has to back out. Then he's lost a bit of traction on the curve. Farf has had an issue as well then in Puyon as well. He's dropped out of the order then. Farf they're dropping down to P18 then as Craig R has been passed by Mumford then up into P10 then for Mumford now. Good stuff indeed there. Craig R on the soft compound tyres not making them work just yet at the restart of this race then. God blimey. There's more pressure from Dylan on Beast as well as we go into sector 3, and I thought that was going to be contact again then. Here comes Glocks trying to fight back that P4 position, and Beast they were battling away then. He's costing him both to the P2 drivers then of Ginner and Sweet Repeat, who are checking out in the distance there up in the lead. Is there going to be a move then from Sweet Repeat before the bus stop chicane? Not quite as well. Into turn the bus stop once again then from Dylan, then round the outside, down the inside, round the outside. There's contact between the Red Bull and the McLaren, I should say. Blimey, I don't know what car it is. As they go through, and Dylan now up into P3, and there we go then. Glock's trying to go around the outside then of the Red Bull this time into turn 1 then, and there's rubbing a bit of racing as well, but Glock's now has got himself past, I think, up into P4 then, and he's got himself ahead now of the Red Bull driver. Then of course those on the older tyres are going to start to struggle. Then Beast is already struggling as we go up the hill towards Radion as well onto the Kemmel Straight then, and I think Beast there is just trying to hold on those medium compound tyres. Same for Dopey Lemons there, but he's done it a bit more or less aggressively, put it that way, as Jenner and Swinder be battling away side by side through the chicane now as well at the top of the hill. This is tight indeed. These two are really going to be sticking it to each other. Then they don't want to get each other go, of course, but they don't want to lose too much time. Then battling away on those older hard compound tyres. Now Dylan is all over the back of them as well here. Mumford has got himself past Irvine. There's contact in the background. There's Craig getting himself past on the Red Bull driver. R2 beats off the circuit. Then Kamara Race has gone through, and blimey, there's more movement up in front. Then Dylan's got himself back past his teammate in McLaren. Sorry, like I said, I can't keep up with the action here as well. Glocks go down the inside, then into sector 2. He's got the move, then up into podium places now for Glocks. Good stuff indeed. And Dylan now is putting pressure on the race leader of Jenner. Then Jenner is now, of course, on those old hard compound tyres. It's going to be seeing the sights of their two drivers on fresh tyres right behind him. And it's going to be very very scary indeed. Then I can imagine with Dylan and Glocks then all over the back of your diffuser, then into Blanchimont we go then for the 11th time. We're at the halfway point of this Grand Prix now. Blimey, as we go onto the brakes, then into the bus stop. I thought the McLaren was going to go for a move. Then Dopey Lemons has gone for a move. Then onto a Beast there around the outside. Then there's contact between the two of them, and Beast is really struggling in this race now on those old tyres as well. Nigel's got himself past the Red Bull driver as well as we go in towards turn 1. Their DRS now available, of course, into the next part of the circuit. There's a move there from Nigel. Then up at the inside, or down the inside really, because he's got himself through into P5 then from Nigel then, and trying to stick with the leaders as well. Then Dopey Lemons there dropping down, then Beast and Dopey Lemons they're struggling away then on their old medium compound tyres. Then at this point of the race then they will start to drop off. I would imagine then DRS is available now. Jenner has been passed by Glocks and by oh my goodness, I thought there was a Haas there as well. Then Nigel got himself past 300p, then back in the background, sorry. But Jenner has been passed by Dylan and by Glocks, then down the Camel Straight, then towards the source. They're down to P3 there for Jenner, and Nigel has got himself past 300p. Then 300p is struggling on those tyres as well. Mr. Elite's had an issue then down the back of the order, then into the La Source chicane as well. Then another casualty then of the La Source chicane, unfortunately for Mr. Elite. Then hopefully he can get himself back underway. Then on the hard compound tyres, he can make up some places still if he can just get himself through. He can get to the end of the Grand Prix on those hard compound tyres, whereas some might not be able to. We will wait and see. Then Swim Repeat, of course, yet to pit as well. Same for Jenner. So now the same as the medium runners then of Dopey Lemons and Ultimate Beast, then Sweet MGP and Jenner now struggling then at this stage of the Grand Prix on those old tyres. Then here comes Nigel then on the back of the Aston Martin. Can he get himself through quickly enough as Potstuff picks up a penalty, unfortunately for Potstuff. He is one of the drivers then stuck behind the two medium runners who haven't pitted at the last safety car. Here comes Nigel getting himself past Jenner then into Blanchimont. Oh, Jenner makes a move then to try and cut him off, it seems there, but it's a bit too late then as up into P3 goes Nigel. Now he's got 1.5 second gap then to the top two, who are going to try and check out in the distance here, I'd imagine. But if he can try and get himself through, then that would be good indeed. Here comes Dopey Lemons and Beast once again into the bus stop chicane. Then Dopey Lemons up into P6 this time, and I think he's got the move done, has he? Yes, he has. And Beast is having to slot himself back in behind, but he's now going down the inside. There's contact again, and they're almost into the back of Swift P as well. Then Potstuff goes through the both of them, and now this is getting very tense indeed then between Beast there and Dopey Lemons. There's Mumford sneaking down the inside there on the fresh hard compound tyres as well. Then he's got himself past the Red Bull driver, and oh blimey, always Beast is trying to get himself back onto the circuit. Then he's struggling indeed, then keep control of the car. Then Potstuff has got himself past 300p. Then as we go down the straight, then Dopey Lemons has come through as well into P6. Then Potstuff takes P5, 300p then up past Mumford into P7. Then as Mumford and Irvine now battling away then side by side as we go through into La Source as well. As it goes wide though, he goes wide. He's lost out to both the Red Bull drivers and to Riyadh as well. Riyadh down the inside into P10 as well. Then up into the points now for the Williams driver. There's more issues then for Reflection as we go through the long right-hander. He's got himself back underway. But blimey, this is action-packed indeed then. And like I said, we were looking for an entertaining race. Reflection, unfortunately, has had an issue, then got himself back underway. Then Craig is struggling on those soft compound tyres. Beast has got himself back up into the top 10 with Mumford's issue then. But Riyadh now splitting the two Red Bulls then into Sector 2, then up into P9 then for Riyadh. Good stuff indeed. And like I said, it's getting, some people say it's getting crazy then in the comments section. Keep up, says Serious Mushroom then. I can't, but I'll try my best. Nigel was trying his best to get get himself back in the DRS range then of the top two. He's 1.1 seconds away then. ERS light flashing away then. Irvine's got himself past Swimp, then Swimp yet to pit, of course, as well. Then I think he might want to try and dive into the pit lane then for a change of tyre very soon. Indeed, Riyadh now going around the outside of the McLaren then into the bus stop chicane, and Swimp is diverting into the pit lane then, so he's called it a day then on the hard compound tyres. Good stuff indeed. Beast and Dopey Lemon still soldering on out there, and so they are going for it indeed out there as well. Good stuff. Craig is in the pit lane as well. Same for Swimp then into the box then for the McLaren and the Ferrari. Potstuff has got himself past Jenner now up into P4, but he's got a big gap then to try and close on the top three as it stands. Then Nigel is 1.5 seconds back again, unfortunately, but here comes Dylan there on the attack then for the race lead, then up into P1 then for the McLaren driver. Can he get himself past Glocks? He can, as Jenner has got himself past Potstuff once again then into the last source chicane, and he's got the move done there. Dopey Lemons there down to P7 then after being passed by Irvine, and now the two Williams are in a bit of a Red Bull sandwich, and it's switched round indeed. Riyadh they're trying to get himself past his teammate. Is there going to be some team orders here for Williams there, or is Donside, I should say there, but he's not making it very easy for Riyadh there as we go round the outside now on the corner of No Name. Oh, there's contact between Dopey Lemons and Riyadh then. I think you can see there the traction on the old medium compound tyres for Dopey Lemons there, just understeered him into his teammate there, and thankfully there's no damage then, but now round the outside, down the inside I should say, Pouillon then, he's got himself through then and up into P7 now, and ahead of his teammate of Dopey Lemons there. Great stuff indeed, great battling indeed, and heart racing stuff indeed as well. I can't keep up with this. It's whole action everywhere. But blimey, and there we go. Then Mr. Elite is trying to get himself back into the race as well. Then he is just behind Craig R as it stands as well. Then hopefully he can get himself back in. Glocks is still out in not out in front. Sorry, he's now chasing down the race leader after they switched on the previous lap. Then lap 14 on to lap 15. We've got 8 laps to go here in Belgium for the Silver Season 7 round 5 as Potstuff and Gin are battling away then into the bus stop chicane. Then Potstuff's got himself through then to P4 and now trying to chase down the top 3, but I think it's going to be more of a threat from behind rather than trying to get that gap down. It's 3.8 seconds now. It's a massive gap indeed there for the top 3 to try and get that gap back down. There's more pit stop action then. Dopey Lemons in the pits, Mumford in the pits, R2 Beat in the pits as well then. All sorts of action then for the pit stop boys, who of course are Dutch, not Belgian, but there we go then. It's a wing change for Dopey Lemons. That is bad news indeed for him and for Mumford as well, it looks like, and for R2 Beat. There's all sorts of things going on now down the back of the order. Unfortunately for those drivers, then they've had a bit of an issue earlier on in the race. Then Mr. Elite sets the fastest lap of the race. Good stuff indeed for Mr. Elite for soldering on. That, of course, will go to him in his favour, I should say, should he be able to hold on to that then at the end of the Grand Prix and finish the Grand Prix as well. Then Ultimate Beast is now under pressure from Kamara Racer. Then these old medium compound tyres are still soldering on there. 300p and who else was it? Dopey Lemons there have switched on to the soft compound tyres, or Sweet's gone for the medium compound tyres actually, but they've decided to ditch their tyres that they were on. As Craig R gets himself past the Aston Martin then of R2 Beat then, and they have ditched the tyres that they were on now, but unfortunately for Beast, then he's still soldering on then on now 13 lap old medium compound tyres, and Jenner is still soldering on 15 lap old hard compound tyres, when I think the stops need to fold in, or need to come in I think very soon for those two. Everybody else can go to the end of the Grand Prix from here, I would imagine, unless there's anything else unscheduled there, but Beast has been passed by Kamara Racer then up into P9 then for Kamara. Then Beast is having an issue then trying to keep the car under control, it looks like, and now Favre's all over the back then of the pair of them, trying to get himself back into the top 10 is Favre as we go through towards the bus stop chicane then, and there's almost, I think Beast is trying to shape up for a move then, is he, or is he going to go into the pit lane? Then Kamara then goes through the bus stop chicane, then Beast is peeling off into the pits, then he's called it a day. The same for Jenner as well then, up in P7 he's changed from the hard, well he will change from the hard compound tyres to something else, but there we go then. Gordo now up into P7 then, the plan working out nicely for Gordo so far. Good stuff indeed then. Kamara Racer all over the back of him though. He's lost a bit of traction there from turn 1 as Kamara Racer trying to get himself back in the race. Right then, good stuff indeed then. Out in front then, Dylan has got himself back into the lead of the Grand Prix and up into P1 once again. Then Riyadh has got himself past Irvine as well then on the medium compound tyres up into, was there wing damage then? No, I thought there was wing damage then for the Red Bull, but it was just the sunlight. going through the lovely front wing. But yeah, enough of that. Kamara Racer's still right behind Gordo then. Unfortunately, didn't have enough straight then to get himself passed into P7. Far all over the back of him now as well, in reflection into the points now. But Jinner is just pit for the fresh soft compound tyres. Then he's got himself past 300p then on the soft compound tyres as well. And now chasing down the top 10 as well. Those soft compound tyres are going to be great indeed at this stage of the race then, compared to those on older mediums and hards ahead of him as well then in the top 10. So we might see that gap coming down then. 6 seconds is the gap currently then to the top 10 for Jinner and for Sweet MJP then. We will see what happens then at the end of this Grand Prix. It might all come back in their favour. Out in front then, Dylan trying to stretch his legs then. He's got an 8/10 for a second gap. Then Nigel trying to get himself back in that window then with Glocks as well. But at the moment he can't quite get that 1 second there, just as we go through the detection point, I should say, for the main straight, that is, as we go through into the bus stop chicane then for the 16th time now. On to lap 17 then with, what is that? No, I can't do the maths quite quickly. It's 6 laps to go, I think now, if my maths is right, including lap 17, that is as well. Great stuff indeed. Sweet MJB throughway, a solid podium, says Gurman. That's not good. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Told you, said Gordo had a plan. Serious mushroom as well. Yeah, great stuff indeed. It looks like he's currently on for a good finish, and is Gordo then looking good on the hard compound tyres. I did say at the beginning when the second safety car came out, the hard compound tyres could get to the end from there, and so far so good then for Gordo, for Glocks, and for Kamara Racer as well. Everybody else has switched off the hard compound tyres, unfortunately, so they started on the hards and they seem to be finishing soft or medium, that is. So Kamara Racer has been passed, I should say, by Farf then into the last source chicane there, up into P8 now goes Farf, and trying to chase down Gordo then for P7 as well then. Kamara Racer slotting himself into P9 then, but like I was saying, with the penalties and with the tyre wear on the medium compound tyres for the drivers ahead of him, he could get himself some extra points here as well, especially towards the end of the Grand Prix when those tyres on the, or those on the medium compound tyres start to slow down a bit with the lack of grip, the lack of pace then after they've burnt through their medium compound tyres to the best. Then there is an example of that when Favre going wide then at Bouillon as well. He's lost a bit of time. He might have even got himself a warning then for track extending as well. And out in front, the gap is now almost a second. Then Dylan is pulling away then on those medium compound tyres. You would have thought the hards would have phased in by now and be the better tyre than the mediums, but it seems like Glocks is actually just trying to hang on there to the McLaren at this stage. I think he's just about done it enough. Then unfortunately for Nigel, then he's dropped back 2 seconds now, is the gap between the top two then for Nigel. But hopefully he can get himself back in the Grand Prix, back in the race, I should say. Then if there's anything going on there for the top two, if they start battling away, then Nigel could become back in the fight then, I should say, for the top spot. We'll have to wait and see. Now Irvine, they're trying to chase down Riyadh as well. Then Riyadh is, well, actually I think Irvine's actually worried about the drivers behind him on the hard compound tyres. Then the likes of Gordo and Kamara then could be in the fight then, especially with the penalty situation. And we'll look at the penalties because they might be a bit of an issue then towards the end of this Grand Prix for pot stuff. 6 seconds then, 3 for Riyadh, 3 for Irvine there, 6 for Ultimate Beast as well, 3 for Mumford and 3 for Craig R. Unfortunately, I think there might be a few issues then with the penalty situation, especially for the drivers in P4 down to P6 then, especially with Gordo, Favre, Kamara and Reflection trying to chase them down, trying to get himself back in the fright. We'll call it the fright. There is the situation then on the penalty side, and then Dylan and Nigel and Glocks and Gordo are your candidates then for driver of the day, which has just popped up in the comment section. Then you can get yourself a nice little vote then in the comment section then for your driver of the day, and there is the position changes as well. Then Dylan has fought back with Glocks then to try and take back that top spot, but Glocks has gained 8 places so far. Nigel's gained 5 places, then Gordo 10 places as well. Then he could potentially get some more places as well for Gordo after the penalty situations and for the drivers ahead of him. So that could come back in his favour as well then towards the end of this Grand Prix. And Glocks as well, sorry, is your... No, which one? I can't remember who I said now. I think Glocks is one of your nominees then. So you've got 4 nominees then in the comment section. Pick your driver of the day then as we get towards the end of this Belgian Grand Prix, the end of round 5 of Silver Season 7 then. And of course, if you weren't aware, I don't think I mentioned it just yet, but we're in Zandvoort next week for some more fantastic racing then. So of course, Zandvoort, a bit of a different circuit than to the Spa circuit. So it will be interesting to see how the drivers adapt and switch then from this very power-hungry circuit of Spa-Francorchamps then to a, oh dear, there's contact there from Ginner then, to a more technical circuit of Zandvoort, I should say, as we're going to go back to that because here comes Ginner then trying to get himself into the top 10 then. Sweet MJP is all over the back of them as well. But I think this is the fight really for the 10th place then, for the final point paying position then, because the drivers ahead, I think, have just checked out then with the DRS range as well. Then as Gordo can't get that gap down to the drivers ahead, unfortunately, he might be better off to try and let Favre go here and try and play a bit of a team game then out in front. And Dylan still holds on to the lead. Then on to lap 19, we've got 3.5 laps to go. As Gino has got himself past Reflection now up into the top 10 there, and he's got himself into the points then for Gino. Then good stuff indeed. Then Reflection, I think, starting to struggle then on the medium compound tyres then, and we can see Sweet MGP then on the fresh mediums then right behind him as well. Then here comes the McLaren down the inside then, and he's got the move, has he? Yes, he does. Then into P11 then, and now trying to chase down Gino for that final point bear position. I think, unfortunately for Reflection, then he was just left hanging out to dry then, unfortunately, on those older compound of tyres then, compared to the two that have just got past, and they're Jenna trying to fly on now and get himself into the fight. Then Reflection picks up a 3-second penalty through Pouillon as well, unfortunately for the Alpine car, and it's not turned out his way then, unfortunately, at this stage of the Grand Prix, but fair play indeed then for soldiering on as well, and good stuff. Through the bus stop chicane we go then. Once again, then Ultimate Beast has got himself another penalty, unfortunately, for the Red Bull driver. Then here comes Glocks once again. I think he might be just charging up, just saving a bit of battery then in the Ferrari then to go for a final lap or penultimate lap attempt then for the race lead. Then it could be Glocks back on the top step very soon. Indeed, we have to wait and see. Nigel is, I don't think, in the fight, unfortunately, anymore now. He's 3 seconds back from the top two and just trying to hold on to that podium place then. But I think he will comfortably hold on to the top two place, to be fair. As Farf and Gordo switching places there into the first turn there. Farf now up into P7, and here comes Kamara Racer as well then. I think he just very wisely then backed out then, Kamara Racer, and I think he's trying to go for a move then on Farf and Gordo potentially down the Camel Straight. Then here we go then, 3 of them onto the Camel Straight we go then. DRS of course available for the Mercedes and for the Alfa Romeo, no, for the Aston Martin, sorry. What am I talking about? I don't know what's yeah, just ignore me. Good stuff indeed. Swim to P and Jinder battling away then. Jinder up into Swim to P up into P10 into the points 10 positions now as well. There's the DRS then will be a bit of a DRS game then, I think, between these two. Same for the race leaders, I should say then, who are now trying to battle away then for the end of this Grand Prix. The battle for the race lead then is going to be heating up, I think, in the next lap and a half or so, and we will see what's going to go on there. Gino picks up a penalty. That is bad news for Gino. Then that has cost him, I think, his attempt to go for that top 10 position as well. Then unfortunately for Gino, then he could potentially pit at the end of this lap then to go for a fastest lap on the final lap though. So that is my strategy call there. Really, that is nothing. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to listen to that, Gino. You can just do what you want there. But there we go. Farf now trying to chase down Gordo once again. Then Farf, of course, has picked up a penalty as well. Then it's 3 seconds, I think, for Farf. Yes, it is. So that will demote him down a place then to Kamara Racer. Then if he can, if he holds on, if he stays ahead of Kamara Racer, that is. But I think Farf is now trying to put the pressure on Gordo instead. Then as we go through towards the bus stop chicane, then the ERS light flashing away then on the Haas car as we go down the outside of the first point of the bus stop chicane, then through round to the inside then for the second point, and up into P7 he goes then, and Gordon out under pressure then from Kamara Racer as well then as we go down towards turn 1 for the 21st time. We're on to the penultimate lap then of the race. Down the around the outside, goes the Alfa Romeo then. Has he got the move though is the question then. Gordo then is slotting himself back in behind the Alfa Romeo. They're down to P9 unfortunately for Gordo as it stands then, but up the hill, they're almost pushing each other up the hill then as well as we go through towards the Camel Straight once again then. Here comes Gordo then, he's going to go down the inside. There's Kamara Racer going down the outside. There's all sorts of action then. There's now the Mercedes and the Alfa Romeo fighting away side by side into the chicane. There's contact between the two of them, but Kamara Racer's got the position. I think he has. Yes, he has there. And Farf now trying to go through as well then. Farf, as Gordo's been spun then at the exit of La Source. Then he's got himself back around then, unfortunately for Gordo. I'm not sure what happened there. I think Farf is at fault, of course. And Gordo then is just slowing down there. He's lost the whole of the front wing as well there. Gordo, unfortunately for the Mercedes driver, that is bad news indeed then for Gordo. Then it would look like he was on for at least a couple of points then, potentially even 4 points in P8 or something like that. But unfortunately there, that contact with Favre through the La Source chicane then has cost him a place in the top 10. It's promoted Jinner up into the top 10 though, which is good news for Jinner. But he has now got he's got 6 second gap. He's got 3 seconds penalties, I believe. So he'll have to try and hold on to that one. voted Gordo for driver of the day, says Serious Mushroom. Then unfortunately, I think if anybody who's voted Gordo for driver of the day, going to be commiserations to Gordo then, because he has lost the front wing there with that very late move indeed. I completely missed it, but we are going through onto lap 22. I thought I just missed the checkered flag, to be fair. Here we go then for the race lead. Then let's see what Glocks has got in his tank then. Can he get himself back into the race lead on the final lap of the race as well? Then Dylan is going to be fighting tooth and nail then to keep hold of the P1 position as we go to the Camel Straight then for the final time. Then here comes Glocks, then DRS available, then the red light flashing away then on the McLaren. Then here comes Glocks to take the race lead then on the final lap then into La Source. He's got the move then up into P1 then for the Ferrari driver. And Dylan is going to be distraught with that one as well, because he doesn't want to see that Ferrari in front of him. He wants to see it back in the wing mirrors. But unfortunately there, Dylan has lost out then on the final lap then to Glocks. Then Glocks then up into P1 there with a great move. Of course, DRS there and ERS in his favour. Then I think he was saving up a few bits of battery then in the last few laps then, just to make sure he got the pass then on the final lap of the Grand Prix. Potsav has got himself past Nigel then and up into P3, but of course penalties will be added on to his race time then for the track infringements. Then Nigel is struggling here and could lose the place to Riyadh as well. Then he wouldn't need to worry about that too much as well either, to be fair, because Riyadh has got penalties as well. But there we go then. So that is an enticing start, well, enticing finish I should say. It's not the start, thankfully. We're at the end of the Grand Prix now, but here comes Dylan. Can he fight back there towards Blanchimont, towards the bus stop chicane then to get himself back into P1? I think he's just he's not got the ERS energy to try and play with there to get himself back into the top spot. It looks like Glocks there coming round the final couple of corners then will win the Belgian Grand Prix. Riyadh's got himself past Nigel now as well, up into P4 there. Nigel doesn't need to fight that, but here comes Glocks then through the bus stop chicane. Then he is going to claim the victory here in Belgium then for the second time in a row. Then 2 wins on the bounce then for Glocks. Then a great finish indeed. They're starting from P10 on the grid. Then he claims the victory in Spa, and great stuff indeed for Ferrari at this historic circuit as well. Then great stuff and great racing indeed from Glocks as well. Then Dylan in P2. Commiserations to Dylan, I should say, because he was controlling that race for the most part as well, and on the final lap has cost him, or not cost him, he lost the lead and finishes P2 then. Blimey, Nigel there in P3 with the penalties then for Riyadh and for Potstaff as well, then stays P3 then after that as well. Then Nigel on the podium, Riyadh in P4, Potstaff P5, then Irvine P6 there. Good stuff indeed from Irvine. Swimp in P7. Kamara gets himself his first points of the season in P8. Then Jinner does get P9 in the end. Favre P10, Dopey Lemons P11, then Mumford P12, R2 Beat P13, Craig R P14, Reflection P15, Ultimate Beast P15, Mr. Elite P17 I should say, and Gordo P18. Unfortunately, retirements were Fanjo in P19 there with his technical difficulties there with the internet connection, and Vessia then on the second lap of the race then with the big smash then through the La Source chicane as well. Driver of the day then is Kamara Racer, but you can get your votes in for driver of the day in the poll in the comments section. There is your podium sitters then for the... Oh dear, we have the problem then with the... Oh dear, we've got a problem with this thing. Right, there's your podium sitters then. There is Mag Glocks on the top step then in the Ferrari, then Dylan in P2 and Nigel in the Haas P3. And hopefully we'll get the interviews underway then for the top 3 as well very shortly indeed, and we can crack on then with the interviews as well. Then thankfully Favre didn't get a podium then, because we would have had to interview him as well, but he is down in P10. Thankfully, there we go. That is your classification then for the Belgian Grand Prix. Then Glocks is your race winner in the end then. Great stuff indeed then, and unfortunately commiserations to everybody who didn't get any points there. Beast does get a point though for fastest lap, which is good stuff indeed for Beast after a difficult Grand Prix, and of course that qualifying ban really causing a few issues then for him at the start of the race as well then, but he does get a point then for his efforts, I should say. But great stuff indeed then from all the drivers then who got the end of the Grand Prix there as well. It was a bit of a tough one indeed at the end there, but good stuff indeed. Gordo was claimed the driver of the day as well, so fortunately for Gordo then he's not in the points then, but he has got the driver of the day poll, so potentially that will be a nice little thing to cheer him up, I suppose. But there we go then, and also report Favre as well. Right then, I think we've got a couple of the podium drivers sitting with us as well. Then we'll jump into the interviews then straight away. Then Nigel, then in P3, we did say last week that you were going to be getting yourself back on the podium here in Belgium. Then you have done, but did you think you were going to get a podium then after that difficult qualifying at the beginning?
No, definitely not. The qualifying was very difficult, so that was very sad to see because the pace was great, but in the second stint, I screwed it up. But in the race, we had some a little bit luck, I can say, because it was really close driving after the safety car, and I just made the most out of it.
And you had some great race pace, it looked like, because you were up into the top 5 with your teammate Favre then in the first stint, and the safety cars. Did they play a bit of havoc with your strategy, or did it work out for you in the end? Do you think?
Yeah, both ways. It was quite difficult because Ford was in front of me, so I know I was going to lose some places in the pit stop. But at the end it was a great result because after the safety car, the pace was great, the mediums felt right, and I was just pushing ahead. But my clocks and the Nilo White just too quick. I was just outside DRS, and on this track without DRS, you don't keep up with those guys.
And you got yourself back on the podium. Did you think that you could achieve anything better than after that second safety car at the end there?
No, the car was not that great today, but I managed to get the most out of it and just happy with the result.
Great stuff indeed, and well done indeed there, Nigel. Then P3 then in the Belgian Grand Prix. Great stuff from you as well. Dylan, we'll come to you next then in P2. It didn't look like it was going to be P2 for probably about 21 laps of that Grand Prix. Did you think that, or did you know that Glocks was just saving a bit of hers there in the background, then trying to get yourself past then on lap 22?
Actually, ironically, me and him in the same party. He just basically, I sense he's got high on battery than me. In fairness to him, I just squint a bit, then try to get out DRS, but it's now he's tires done at the final lap.
There was a point in that stint then, in the final stint after the safety cars as well, that it looked like you almost got yourself out of DRS range. Were you trying to go for that, or was it just you naturally racing on your normal race pace?
It's just pretty much normal race pace, to be quite frankly. It's just I know it can be quick, but it's like would be too quick if it used all the battery. But no, I had to manage the battery and all sorts, but it's a bit disappointed, but happy with another podium on here.
Yeah, another good result then. And did you think, again, with the safety cars, same with Nigel then, did the safety cars help or hinder you in the strategy sort of department on that on those occasions?
Oh, the safety car, the first safety car is like no other choice to stay out because of not many people would go into the pits. Mm-hmm. For the second one, I had to pit because I had to change the tires before it's too late, so I had to change it, and yeah, pretty much so. That's the way the cookie crumbles. And
commiserations, to be fair, it seems like as well in the McLaren garage then for the P2 position, although it's still a fantastic result then, but well done to yourself, Dylan, then P2 in McLaren then for the Belgian Grand Prix as well. And we'll come on to our race winner of Glocks then, or Mags. Which one do you want me to call you? I don't know which one you want me to call you, but either way.
Mags is good. Mags is good.
Mags is good. We'll call you Mags instead then. Mags then in P1 then at the end there. You started down in P10 after a difficult qualifying. And did you just it just play out for you in the race, or did you have anything up your sleeve then to get yourself back up the order then?
Well, I knew I had piss around here because I won in an ALR league about 2 weeks ago, but I didn't practice at all today. And I had football. I trained till I was back in the house at 7:20 and couldn't get any laps in. So I was a bit rusty in qualifying, and McCarr was well understeery, invalidated 2 laps. Made last lap, I was a 2 temps down in sector 1, and then ended up finishing with a 0.4. So it could have been pole if I had I felt like I would have had piss for pole, but P10 then I just was like, right, I'm going to have to try something here. I'm going to start the mediums, and I knew I had a quick yard in the street. My wings were, I would say, lower than the average, so I just had to fight my way through the field then as cleanly as possible.
And he did so as well, pretty well indeed. And the second safety car, I think, when you did pit as well for the hard compound tyres, same as Dylan, then you came out very close between the two. Well, for the two of you, you came out very close indeed. And I think that set you up then for the final stint there, just going with Dylan then, pretty much just out the two of you out in control of the race then, and just sort of switching places at the whenever you needed to.
I see. That's what he was saying. We were on the party together anyway, so we knew that we had a fight through the field pretty quick, and it was so slow at a stage. Like I felt like I was driving 60%, trying to fight through the field, and I was inviting the likes of like Nigel and people like Adam did. So once we got past them, we were chatting in the party, saying, "Look, we'll work together here and slingshot each other along." And we knew Nigel was pushing because he was catching in the sector 2 and stuff, because I had a wee bit lower wings, but in the back straight now, and I was just pulling away. And once I think he must have just wrecked his tyres as well, because we ended up getting it up to like a 3-second gap then, and the two of us just went silent for the last 5 laps then, because it was just a mind game to see who was. I was actually thinking about taking him in lap 21 and maybe trying to just pull away, but I knew that he had a quicker car in the corner, so he probably could have came back and on sector 2. So I felt like I timed it perfect, and I was raging that Dylan couldn't get his one, because he's one of the most consistent drivers I've ever raced with since I've started league racing, and there's no doubt about it, a race one will be coming his way soon.
Well, Dylan, I think you might as well have to weigh in on that one, because I think
I'm sauced with that comment, in fairness.
Well, like, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, I want to go out and try and win every single race. The game has been finally getting a bit of good luck at the minute. I think the last game I had no luck on it at all, learning the wheel and stuff, and I feel like my pace now is good, and I can challenge in any track. Just shows there, like I started in P10 and managed to get the one. Alright, there was a safety car that helped me out and all, but I definitely feel like I've got pissed the challenge for podiums and race ones.
Great stuff indeed. Well done to the top three then. I think as well then with Farf then, I think he did finish in the points, but he didn't get very many points then tonight then, but unfortunately for him that is. But I think you're now the confirmed top three in the standings as well then, but I'm not sure what order. So well done to the three of you then on the podium there tonight cheers. Then. Glocks then, or Mags, sorry, with the race win here in Belgium then in the Ferrari, then Dylan P2 in the McLaren and Nigel in P3 in the Haas. Is your podium then for the Belgian Grand Prix. Then we're back next week here in Silver then for Zandvoort. We'll see how the title charge carries on then in the Netherlands then in a week's time. Then of course there's more action coming up here in ALR. There's the Belgian Grand Prix for bronze coming up tomorrow night then at 7:30 p.m. So stay tuned for that one. That's going to be an epic. And then we are in Zandvoort then for the 100% Realistic League on Wednesday night as well. So we'll stay tuned for that. There's plenty more action coming up here in ALR, and we'll see you soon.